Yo, 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 what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back welcoming you to Answering the Bell with Stormybman, our Sunday morning call-in show for this Sunday, June 19th, 2022. This is Juneteenth. This is Father's Day, and I want to say happy celebrations all the way around to all of you out there. Thank you for tuning in this morning, and I hope that it is a pleasant day for all the dads out there, the fathers out there, and those who have made a difference in mentorship and helping to raise and build within our communities. I want to say salute to you men who take it to the max every day. Even when the responsibilities and onus don't fall upon you, you still step up to the plate to take care of what's necessary. And I salute you all. Welcome to the show. This is number 43, if you're counting. And it happens to fall on a wonderful day of celebration for us. Man, what a day. What a time to be around to see what's going on. And that's in all facets of life. It's whether you're out here taking care of your business in the world, whether you are a sports lover, whether you are a person who just is looking for a vibe of some sort to help you make it through. This is what you want to do. This is what you want to acknowledge. And hey, that's what it's all about. And before we go any further, I want to take a quick moment out to acknowledge and to make a general public apology to my brother, Reacher. Yesterday, we were having a live stream show. And as I was addressing some matters, I rudely addressed my brother Reacher out there in the chat, which I didn't do that with an intent to come at him like that. But seeing that when Friday night I spoke about some things of betrayal out here in the community, that feeling of those things that I expressed in the Friday night show carried over into when I was addressing our brother in the chat yesterday. So I want to issue my public apology for being rude. It was improper for me to do that. And as I said before, I'm a man that leads by example. I can come out here on the airwaves and acknowledge my wrongdoing. I make mistakes just like anyone else. And I've had a chance to speak with Ack behind the scenes. And it's still something that I told him that I wanted to come out and make my public sentiment of apology, because that's how I operate. So with that being said, I hope that everything can be smoothed out according to that and we can go forward. But just know that anyone out here that makes a mistake in life, accountability means everything. When you can step up to the plate and take responsibility for what you do and how you affect others, it is important that you acknowledge these things. So I'm a man of my word. And that's why I wanted to come out early in the show and say that. So my apologies to my brother, Reacher. As we go forward, I also received, I'm trying to look at my messages here because something just came through. Okay. We had a Cash App donation from the brother, Mr. Pac-Man 216. Appreciate you for that Cash App donation early in the show. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, so we are here for our Sunday morning call-in, man. We had some fights on last night. there were some fights that we should have had last night that didn't take place. And we could talk about a little bit of all of that. Some news has come down the pipeline early in the week about Mr. Tyson Fury. And we could talk about that a little bit. So we will have plenty to discuss as long as people want to come in and, participate. But that's what, and, there might be some subjects that you want to bring to the table to discuss that we haven't had a chance to discuss. So let that be acknowledged as well. You know what I mean? So trying to figure out my little backdrop music here. I think it's too low, but that's okay, because when we get the calls, we'll still be able to hear the callers. But yeah. So here we are, man. Let me also open up with a little bit of, I told you guys that Canelo losing that fight to Bivol was something that it didn't surprise some people, except for the way that Bivol decided to take the fight on. And hats off to him for doing so. It's important that a fighter take the opportunities that he's granted, grab it by the throat, and take care of his business. So we saw Dimitri Bivol do that. And, I love it, man. I love when a fighter takes control of what he's doing out there. So hats off to Dimitri Bivol for that. And to hell with Canelo. To hell with that guy. Anyway. I got some text messages coming in here. People are wishing Father's Day, and that's good stuff. I tried to get messages out wishing Father's Day greetings to some brothers out there in the community as well. I know people are busy doing things with their families and whatnot, but just a little simple acknowledgement. But yeah, so I told you guys, I had this clip here of Bivol going in on Canelo. I like it, so you'll probably see this on my channel a lot. Just, him being bashed. That's all. You can celebrate it, because I will. Gotta acknowledge, the ass of boxing being kicked. Yeah. What else we got here? Where is? There it is. I'm trying to get my productions all together here. I want to do a simple roll call and acknowledge everybody that's coming to the building. Please smash that like button as you come in. We got MPWTF first in the building saying salute Sensei and chat family. I gave Beterbiev a 10 because he was showing boxing skills with accuracy. Absolutely. Boxing and Barbecue out there this morning. He says, morning, Stormy. Morning to you. TZ Frank in the building saying salute to the Sensei. Salute to you as well, TZ Frank. And happy Father's Day and Juneteenth to all of you out there. For those of you who are dads, I don't want to exclude anyone. So any of you who are dads out there in the chat, special greetings and salute to you. Dwayne Jones saying bless up from the mighty ATL. Antonio MMA saying good morning. Sensei, happy Father's Day. I appreciate you. Andrew Charles in the building saying salute. Geo James Khalil is out there saying good morning, my brothers and sisters. Happy Father's Day. Mr. Pac-Man in the building saying happy Father's Day to everybody. And TZ Frank is saying happy Father's Day to all the brothers. Yes, sir. Snacks B in the building saying happy Father's Day, Sensei. Hashtag Stormy B Man. And to the brothers up in here, peace to everyone. Eric O in the building saying good morning, Sensei, at Stormy B Man. And some of you guys are greeting each other. Eric O also saying, yeah, Bivol kicked his ass good too. Laugh out loud. Yeah, he did. You know. So I could leave that up for a little while. You know, give you guys a little Sunday morning stimulation of Canelo getting pummeled. Huh? And I know some of the punches are not landing clean and flush on the mug like you would like to see. But just seeing him in that cowering position, right? Now, just imagine if that was Artur Beterbiev instead of Dmitry Bivol. As I said, Canelo would have found himself on that gurney in the morgue, huh? Tag toed. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Jeff is out there from New York saying, Stormy B-Man, salute. Peace and power to you and happy Father's Day to all. We appreciate you there, Jeff from New York. Same to you, brother. Right back at you. So, what a fight last night, huh? What a fight. Man, some people, it's funny how when you look at boxing from a certain perspective, you don't really notice certain things. Artur Beterbiev has given some the impression that he's just a plodding, puncher. That there's not a lot of skill behind what he does. And when he goes out there, he is really, a guy that has holes that you can expose or exploit and eventually get to him. Get him in there with a good boxer and they can, put a loss on this record or something like that. There's people that really believe this. Huh? Well, let me say, wrong. Wrong. The man can box too, but he hasn't been in there with someone that calls for him to box respectfully, especially when he's able to cut down their game plans, how he's able to limit what they do. If you're not versatile and you are single or double dimensioned, that's not enough of a layer to defeat this particular type of fighter. And what I mean by that is he can give the appearance of a pressuring, oncoming, plotting puncher. But there's a lot of skill behind what he does. There's a lot of fortitude behind what he does. There's a certain type of confidence that he brings to the ring and the ability to absorb and put out. He's one of those fighters that comes along once in a generation that does what he does so well, you really are not noticing the nuances until it's almost over, if they're at the end of their career or whatever. Now, he's 37 years old, I believe. But that 37 for him is like 30 for some others because he doesn't abuse himself. He doesn't blow up out, in between fights in weight and stuff like that. He's a very religious man of faith, and he lives a certain type of a lifestyle that's kind of like a throwback. But then there's this thing that exists within him that's an inner core strength that you wish so many fighters would have. There was a time when that wasn't an anomaly. A lot of fighters had that type of approach to their craft. But in these times of where people have short-sighted agendas. They want to grasp the bag. They don't want to be the best that they can be. They'll do as good as what's required to obtain the success, to settle what makes them content. In this sport, that's a bad thing. That type of mental approach. It's one of the reasons why titles change hands so many times. And it's another reason why certain fighters will only fight a limited amount of fights within a year. Those things make a difference, and you have to pay attention to it when it arises. Salute to Squirrely out there in that super chat. He says, I give Bivol an 8, Stormy. That was a nice beating. Yes, it was. It was a very good performance by, I think you mean Beterbiev, right? Or are you talking about the fight with Bivol and Canelo, Squarely? Because right now I'm on Beterbiev. But I appreciate your super chat all the same. Thank you so much. Beterbiev would do well to be put back in the old era of light heavyweights, like fighters like Yvonne Durrell and Archie Moore, and you put them back in that era, and then you would see some really thrilling matchups, because not only were those men skilled and powerful and strong internally as well as externally, but they had all of those qualities that made them who they were. He is a throwback to that. Athleticism or punching power alone, or being able to be cued in there with your boxing technique, that's not enough to beat a fighter like this. You have to have more. I tried to warn before this fight that Joe Smith was nowhere near as good as Alexander Gvozdyk. And to see what Beterbiev did to Gvozdyk, even when Teddy Atlas was in, he was just trying to push Gvozdyk out there. You can do this. You can win. Gvozdyk wanted to quit against Beterbiev. See, there's something about a fighter when he knows he's in there with someone that has a little bit more than him. He shrinks like a violet psychologically, and there's nothing that you can do to take that away from him, because once it's up here, the body follows the mind. So when the mind begins to shut down and say, I can't do this, the body finds excuses to lay down. A fighter like Evander Holyfield, who could take things to another level. He had depths within his performances. And when you would get him riled up to fight, that's hard to shut down when the guy gets rolling like that. So the best way to box Evander would be to be boxing. You know, don't try to rile him up and make you think you're going to rumble. Work the body. Keep your jab in his face. And step around him and give him angles and things like this. But when you plant and you start thinking, I'm going to rumble with him and everything, those juices get to flowing, and now you done open up a can of whoop butt that you don't want to deal with. And those are the type of things that you see happen when fighters are in there and engaging. Last night, Smith, and I shout out to Knockout and KQKC, because earlier I was listening to them before coming on myself. And I was laughing when they were talking about Smith like rolled that dice, which I said last night on my post-fight show, but he was like a man that was running into a burning building. trying to save somebody's dog or something. I gotta go. You know, they're telling him, no, Joe, it's, you know, the staircase is on fire. It's going to collapse. You can't go in there. And he takes a wet blanket and throws it on himself. I got to do it. When the man on the ladder with the hose was already up there rinsing the thing down where they could reach in there and get the dog, Joe ran into the building and the stairs collapsed and the walls fell in on him and everything. And we were playing taps after that for Joe. Huh? Word came that he went to the hospital after the fight. That's a good thing. Because every time he got hit upside the head, he thought he couldn't take it. He thought that that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm a warrior. Huh? The warrior should have been a worrier. Huh? And worried about his health and well-being. You don't let a man like Artur Beterbiev. Look, the highlight clips are not special effects, people. That's real shit that's happening. Okay? He went in there and let that man bang him upside his head and got the same result as so many others. That some it took a little longer in a fight than others, but he got the same result. KO. I don't know what his trainer was thinking. See, there's one thing to have false bravado and be dismissive of the task at hand. Then there's another thing called being intelligent and knowing that this is truly a dangerous circumstance. And we have to be on our P's and Q's. We got to be the best that we've ever been to even compete with this man. That wasn't their approach. Joe was like that kid that don't never get to go outside, right? And they let him out and he run out in the street and get hit by a car. He didn't think to look both ways or nothing. He just sprinted. Huh? And Beterbiev was the car. Did you see those right hands over his left by Beterbiev? Did you see Beterbiev dancing around him, giving him angles, setting that up? Yeah. But y'all didn't think he could box. He put Joe into a box. He made the man see life through a keyhole. Huh? And when you peep through a keyhole, you might see what's on the other side. But guess what doesn't operate within that you count on with eyesight? Peripheral. Yeah, peripheral. Which was not available. Huh? Thus, the lumps on the side of his head. I'm telling you, people, there are more layers to the onion in boxing than you really know. It's not about what you just look at. Oh, let me see that Stormy. Yeah, I'm going to go against Stormy because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And, Joe Smith is a dog. Really? Well, the dog catcher was in the house last night, huh? And the favorite dog, from the hometown, got that noose put on his neck, and they put him down. Yeah, he went to sleep. They took him to the pound afterwards, they tell me. Yeah. And the owner of the dog or / trainer, humble pie, eat it up. Yeah. This is the real deal, brother. I'm telling you. I'm going to go to the chat for a couple of comments here. Yeah, we got Boxing and Barbecue says, I think Beterbiev may stop Canelo in brutal fashion. Dude, stop him in brutal fashion? Canelo can't even move, man. He got 2 bad wheels, if y'all ain't figured that out. So he would be a sitting duck. Pun intended, because he's ducked everybody else, huh? And as I said, he'd be on the gurney in the morgue. You know, when they roll him out of that freezer and they unzip that bag and they say on the toe, the tag says, Saul, can you identify this cadaver, please? Yeah, that's what it would be, huh? And Reynoso and all of those other folks over there, Mauricio, you know, they all have to remove their hats and hold them to their hearts like this, and that's him. We recognize the body. Yeah, y'all will recognize the body too. Stiff, huh? Rigor mortis, they call it. Yeah. TZ Frank says Beterbiev will punch through Canelo's guard. It would have been over for Canelo. TZ says Beterbiev is always in shape. Dwayne Jones says Beterbiev is the modern day Rocky Marciano. Boxing and Barbecue says Beterbiev got true grit. Anthony Bolton saying salute. TZ says Atlas is overrated. 88 Sports Talk, what's good with you? He says facts. Fighting Beterbiev fight. Yep. Joe is out there saying salute Stormy. Jason says had no defense, just all bravado. No, they call that no brains, all brawn, huh? But see, when you get in there with someone like Artur Beterbiev, who's a multi-dimensional fighter, huh? All brawn turns you into a prawn. And you know what prawns are, right? A lot of people like to use them when they go fishing to catch the big game. Yeah. So do you think that Joe was a prawn instead of having brawn? Absolutely. Because what was on the hook? His WBO title, huh? And Artur is now a unified champion with only one belt to go, just like Earl Spence, huh? And do you think Dimitri Bivol wants some of that? Honestly, he doesn't. But the heat may get turned up now because something took place after this fight that we had wished for earlier. But it has finally taken place. And you know what that is? Artur is now saying he wants to be undisputed. Uh-oh. Do you hear the footsteps? I think that's Dimitri Bivol heading to the airport, huh? To get the hell out of Dodge. Yeah. Joe says smash the like button, y'all. Eric O is laughing out loud. Snacks B says, yep, his footwork was looking good in there. Joe says Beterbiev is a killer. Antonio says, man, oh man, them little lamb legs got to moving and he lit that boy up, sensei. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Joe is laughing. Snacks B says, I knew it was a matter of time he was going to get starched with the uppercut for punching with his head down. That happens when a fighter doesn't know what else to do. This is what I talk about all the time, you guys. When I talk about fighters and trainers, that they don't, you could tell these guys don't work on scenarios. What are you doing in the gym? Banging on somebody? That's all you do? You don't work on technique. You don't work on skill. You don't work on how to tie someone up. You don't work on how to stop an onslaught. You just in there punching or covering up. Boxing is a science, the sweet science. There are so many wrinkles to this. You can't just go in there waiting and listen. Doing those kind of things can get you out of there quicker. How many, did anybody have a car double parked? Because Joe Smith was out of there before the meter maid could get down the block. Huh? Yeah. And he's crying today because he's like, man, I knew I shouldn't have did it. But what was I supposed to do? You know, I'm a champion. No, you're not a champion. You were a titleist. A difference, like I said, between titleist and champion. The man you fought was the champion. Huh? And he's turning back all challenges. He's special. Just like Evander Holyfield was special in his 12th professional fight, winning the world title at cruiserweight. This man, last night was his 18th professional fight and 18th straight stoppage. And in that time, he has defeated other titleists, taken their titles away from them and kicked them off the ledge of the building. Yeah. But there are still detractors out there. He's a plotter. He's just a puncher. That's all. Okay. Next. Anthony Yard. Pick Misha. You want some of that? I don't think you really do, but now you got to show that false bravado. Huh? You couldn't even beat an alcoholic named Kovalev. This man don't drink. He don't smoke. He don't get out of shape in between fights. What you gonna do, Anthony Yard? Lions in the camp? No sparring? Huh? You think that's gonna affect this man right here? I would love to see you murdered in there because that's exactly what's gonna happen. The only thing I say is make certain before your ring walk, you have your jury of 6. Huh? Because they'll walk you in, but they're going to carry you out. Snacks B says, I knew it was just a matter of time. He was going to get starched with that uppercut for punching with his head down. Okay, I read that one. Boxing and Barbecue says, legend has it, Marcus Brown eyes started to swell watching Beterbiev fight last night. 88 is laughing like me. Antonio says, man, Canelo would be like trying to put a cat in water. He wouldn't even get in there with Artur. That'll be like signing a death certificate. Yes, it would. Jamal Davis says, salute Stormy and happy Father's Day to all of the fathers. Appreciate that, Jamal. Welcome to you, brother. Rojai is out there. Let me see. Rojai says Beterbiev got to move up to lose nobody. 175 can do anything with this dude. It's not about just moving up, Rojai. Allow him to clean out the division. Allow him to handle his business. See, that's the one thing that you put a lot of emphasis on fighters moving. In order to solidify greatness, you have to take a stand. Huh? Stationary. Be there for a minute to cement yourself. That's all. Moving and moving and moving. A lot of times moving can be perceived as avoiding. Getting away from someone. You know? He doesn't have to move away from anybody, but he can welcome all comers. He can ask a cruiser to come down and face him. He can ask some of those super middles to come up. Don't Benavidez talk about doing that? Bring your ass on up here and let me show you what a real man is. Yeah. Dwayne Jones says Beterbiev had 300 amateur fights. Crude sluggers do not have 300 fights, so he has real skill. I've been trying to tell him, Dwayne Jones. They don't hear me, though. They don't hear me. They just, you know what they do sometimes? They just come in and try to give their 2 cents because they want to make it seem like they can talk boxing. They don't know nothing about boxing. When you can't see that this man beats people in different ways, but it's the same result. He takes their soul. Huh? And in workmanlike fashion. It's Joe Smith that made it a fast fight. And he did exactly what's supposed to happen to a guy who tries to make it a fast fight. You know, who tries to come out there. I'm going to show him. You ever seen a street fight where somebody run up on a dude that they didn't know nothing about and everything, trying to be tough, and the dude that they ran up on finished the fight in seconds? Huh? And everybody say the same thing. Ooh. Yeah. And y'all pull your cell phones out and you're taking pictures and everything of the dude laying on the ground now unconscious. Somebody dial 911 for that guy. Huh? It happens. Boli is laughing. Snacks B is laughing. Jamal Davis says Beterbiev will be undisputed. Ain't nobody beating him in that weight class. He's a monster. Jason says, I saw Evander's son keep his chin in the air. What the hell does Evander's son have to do with any of this, Jason? Focus up. Jason says Yard is getting slept too. You better believe it. Rojai says Lions in the camp. He's going to be lying on the canvas. That's what he's going to be. Huh? They can change that moniker right now. Lions on the canvas. Huh? 88 Sports Talk says them Lions going to get run out of the camp. Antonio says Yard going to get his ass kicked yards down the Safari Lions. Oh, man. Rojai says, who hits harder, prime Adonis Stevenson or Beterbiev? 2 different types of power and strength, man. 2 different. Okay? That Ninja Quam says, great show, Stormy B, man. Just showing support. My first time being able to catch a live stream. Love what you do, brother. Hey, man, I appreciate you for your sentiments and thank you for your super chat, brother. Thank you. That Ninja Quam. Appreciate you. Dwayne Jones says Beterbiev was also 200 pounds as an amateur. Imagine how much stronger he is now fighting at 175 and in shape 175 and not weight drained 1 iota, not 1 weight drain. Yeah. Squirrely out there in that super chat. He says Lions on the canvas. There you go. There you go. That's right. I'm telling it like it is, man. It's going to be some people be mad. But you know what? Just like headache pills, take you a pain pill for being mad. Huh? Because I'm just going to tell you the truth. That's all. Put a Band-Aid on it and come on back and sit down and listen to some more. That's what I got to tell you. Huh? Yeah. Flawless is out there. What's good, Dr. Mark? He says, salute to the God, the Sensei Stormy B-Man fam, and the gods and beautiful goddesses of the Answering the Bell family. Appreciate you, Dr. Mark. I sent you a happy Father's Day greeting out there also, Dr. Mark. I don't know if you got it. I know you had said you had some trouble with your phone, so I'm just letting you know. Emmanuel Joseph Bain says, Happy Father's Day, Sensei. Bivol is going to move down to 168 to avoid the Beterbiev smoke. Hey, maybe that's why he was saying rematch with Canelo at 168. Because if he can move down there, beat Canelo, and become undisputed with those belts, then he can avoid Beterbiev, right? That's the funny part about it. That's the funny part. Yeah. So we on to him, ain't we? We on to him. Silvestri out there saying, Stormy, what's going on, family? What's good with you, man? Antonio says, no, Beterbiev doesn't have to move up. He's already 37. He's not undisputed just yet. And he'll retire. He's king and ain't nobody touching that man. You better believe it. You better believe it, man. That's what I say. Look at this picture of him I put up on the screen. You see how he's smashing Joe over the top of that left with that right hand? Perfectly calculated, perfectly placed. Salute to Squirrely back in that super chat with another donation. He says, gotta put you on the spot, Stormy. Bivol or Ward? That'd be a good fight because Bivol and Ward, they have styles that would make them become they will have to bring different wrinkles out. I would love to see that fight. Bivol has the best of the pro-am style, and Ward, being an Olympian himself, being a fighter that, you know, he brings it. And that would be a great fight. But since it's a fantasy fight, you can pretty much just take a stab in the dark who you think would win. But, you know, I'm not so much into the fantasies, you know. I want to see the real deal. I want to see the real deal. Don't care about those fantasy matchups, bro. Yeah. Bivol is beating on people, banging on them and everything. But when it comes to Beterbiev, that's a whole different thing. And you can only avoid your butt whooping for so long. So, Dimitri, just go ahead, get in there with it. You was a titleist for as long as it lasted, but it's time to hand this man that title you have in your possession as well, because that's the real champion right there. The real champion. Yeah. Rojai says, at TS, yeah, I think it's different kind of power, like Shaver and Foreman. TS out there? I didn't see. Oh, there he is. TS Boxing. What's good, Tyrone? He says, Stevenson is much more explosive. Beterbiev seems thudding. I didn't know my man TS was out there. Good to see Tyrone. Salute to Ashley's Corner out there. She says, Happy Father's Day, Stormy B Man in chat. Salute to you, Ashley. Good to see you. Rojai says, Ward by decision. Jamal Davis says it would take a special fighter like Ward to beat him. Ward would not beat Artur Beterbiev. I'm sorry. He would not. He would not beat Artur Beterbiev. No. No. His athleticism wouldn't come into play. His ring IQ wouldn't come into play. There would come a point in time where he would have to, you know, dig in. And that's where the end begins. Yeah. Yeah. Besides, Ward actually told us a long time ago, right? He said he didn't ask for our support, so he ain't getting none of mine, damn it. None. Beterbiev would knock Ward the TF out. Huh? And Virgil Hunter will be over there sobbing, you know. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Yeah. So just enjoy the Hall of Fame, SOG. Yep. That Ninja Car says, Stormy, do you think those Eastern Europeans have kept away from... Why do you think they have kept away from each other? Well, they want to have as many of them be successful as possible. But when they start having to face up against each other, you see right here who's the cream of the crop. This man right here. That's why. Huh? It ain't hard to figure that out. Yeah, Antoine Reed is out there. He says, salute, Stormy. Salute to you. Dwayne Jones said, John Scully told me Beterbiev is the only fighter he has seen who is getting better past the age 35. Yeah. Antonio says, man, Ward would get killed. Absolutely. Mr. Pac-Man 216 says, not in his prime. In his prime, he gets killed. Huh? People die young every day, Mr. Pac-Man. Ashley Corner says, thank you, Stormy B. Man. Ward would get stopped. 100. Yeah. You know, these people are lovers of the individuals, not the sport. If you love the sport, you would have more discernment. Huh? Yeah. It's that simple. Just that simple. Rojai says, the issue is Ward can't muscle Beterbiev like he did Kovalev. The issue is not only is Beterbiev a more cerebral fighter, which none of you are giving him credit for being, but he is talented as well. When you pair that with the toughness that he has to offer, the punching power that he has to offer, the boxing skills that you don't acknowledge, oh boy, shall I go on? Fatality. Antoine Richardson says, salute, Stormy B. Man. Salute to you. Joe says, Beterbiev will knock the you know what out of Ward. Yep. Boli says, prime Kovalev versus Beterbiev would have been interesting as well. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't, because you're talking about two different men of two different character. The resolving character of Beterbiev is head and shoulders above anything that Sergey Kovalev brought into this life with him. Plus he's an alcoholic. Plus he's a flawed individual. Psychological issues unmentioned. And you want to put him in against this man, this champion? I keep telling you, you guys do not look at boxing the proper way. Huh? Boli says Ward was really resilient. Can't just give it to Beterbiev like that. And I can't just give it to you, Boli. Huh? Because you're still on the come up. You're still on the track of learning things. Huh? Having to reassess. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a part of life. But I'll break it down in the most simplistic of terms that you guys can more relate to. You don't hear me, though. Antoine Richardson out there in that super chat. He says, happy Father's Day to all. Thank you, Antoine. And happy Juneteenth to all as well. Appreciate your super chat, brother. I guess I could go ahead and open up the phone lines, but since you guys don't like to call too much, that's why I didn't do it earlier, But I can open it up. So, but we talked about this last week. Remember, y'all had me in such a tizzy last week. I was thinking I might not even do a call in this week. Yeah. Yeah. People don't like to hear their favorite fighters getting washed. Jason says, Ward overrated. Stormy, like I said last night. Boley says, Ward was really resilient. Oh, I read that one already. Mr. Pac-Man said, why isn't he a bigger star? Beterbiev is top rank, not promoting him right. Of course Top Rank is not promoting him right. Top Rank is not going to promote anyone who is going to require that coin. Antoine Richardson back in that super chat saying, you are welcome. Happy Juneteenth also. We appreciate you on that super chat, the 2 super chats there, Antoine. Appreciate you, man. This is what they do, man. They do it all the time. We got 202 in the building. I think that might be Boley. Am I right?
I'm taking the bait here. I'm taking the bait. You got it going this one. That's it. I said, no, I'm not. You know, I was going to call. I wasn't going to call in because I said you were saying everything. I was agreeing with everything that you said about Beterbiev. I said there's not really much to say here. But then we got into the all-time conversation. Now there's some meat on the bone. So okay, I'm calling in. You got me. I'm taking a long trip to my coffee shop. To a coffee shop that I like. I got 20 minutes. We can do this.
Check it out, Boley. I have turned you into one of them prawns that I talked about earlier that Joe Smith was. I put you on the hook so I can catch the bigger fish out there. It's like,
I mean, it's good. You can't really lose in an all-time conversation because the thing is we're really both agreeing that this guy. I mean, right now I don't see anybody that's going to test this guy, and I don't see guys in and around the division calling him out either. Nobody's saying I want that guy. So I mean, we're in agreement with a lot of it. But I mean, I got to take a step back because I don't allow myself to be too much of a prisoner of the moment because I have seen Beterbiev in other fights, and I've seen. I mean, no fighter's perfect. I've seen some things happen, so I can't really put him up against some of those guys in the past. Kovalev had a really good run at light heavyweight until he got to Ward. And really in that first fight, some people debate it. They say, well, I think he won. Maybe not. I'm not, whatever personal things that he had going on in his life, I didn't know that until somebody brought it up. What I saw in the ring is that guy was walking through people. Ward always found a way. And he liked those rough and tumble fights. So I can't just sit there. This guy only has, he has the experience, but I'm not going to sit there and say he would have just ran through that era, not through the era, but through the greats. Now I think it would have been interesting to see him in the late '90s, not against Roy Jones, but against the other guys in that division, like a Virgil Hill, Reggie Johnson. I'm forgetting that guy that Roy beat up at that Music City Hall. David Telesco. He was a very physical, heavy puncher too. Monto Griffin. Those would have been some interesting fights. I think a lot of the guys there would have caused some problems. Like I don't even want to get into the Roy Jones discussion, but the other guys in that era, I think would have been interesting against Artur Beterbiev.
I appreciate you, Boley. I won't send you to the back of the class, but I will send you to the middle of the class because you don't deserve a seat up front, and I'll tell you why. Those guys that you just ran their names off, this man murders all of those guys. I took this man and put him in a class that goes back to the black and white era of watching guys like Archie Moore and Yvonne Durrell and those men of that era and time, because their physical makeup, their psychological makeup, their physical talents are on par with what you're seeing from him today. You're not seeing that from the others amongst his peers because they don't bring that. That's why he's special. This is why, if you listen to my content, brother, I said this early. He's the kind of fighter you put him in a different era and you see a more competitive fight against him, because most of the guys of that time fought like he's fighting now. Roy Jones made it through with what he was doing on his athleticism and talent alone. That was like, he was like once a generation type talent with his speed and his power, all that combined, but he didn't have that at light heavyweight though. He had that at middleweight and super middleweight. At light heavyweight, he was ready for the pickings too. And he got it at light heavyweight. His losses came at light heavyweight.
He didn't have an issue until he went up to heavyweight and came back down. He was handling light heavyweight too. I mean, nobody told
him to do that or whatever. I'm not hanging that jacket. He did it and he continued to fight, so he got what comes with doing those things. I'm not gonna argue for that. No. It's just like my favorite fighter, Evander Holyfield, should have retired after he faced the likes of Lennox Lewis. He shouldn't have kept going and going and going. Guys like James Toney and guys like Larry Donald and those men who got victories over him, they were not the guys that would have beat him 5 to 7 years before the time they faced him. But I can't talk about, if they would have fought him in his prime, because he fought them when he was way past his prime. That's his fault. So you see what I'm saying? You don't love the fighter so much that you don't give credit to what the sport presents overall. This is what I try to say to the people all the time. And I want you to understand that. It's like, and I'm not hating on anyone, but I'm telling you, Andre Ward was a very good fighter, but he was really not a fighter that could deal with that type of physicality, especially when his knees and stuff started getting bad. You can't get away from this man, you in trouble. See, you don't even think about that. Kovalev had him on the canvas in their first fight. And Kovalev is nowhere near the fighter that Beterbiev is. He's nowhere near that.
I'm sorry, man. I just remember what Kovalev looked like before, he went through that, before he got to Andre Ward, and I just can't.
He was an alcoholic and a troubled being before he got to Andre Ward. It just got exposed when Andre had to go out there and fight him a second time, and he realized during the end of the first fight, when he stood up to Kovalev shrank like a violet. He is not the toughest guy. He was a front runner. He was a guy that intimidated people, but when you stand up to a bully and punch the bully back in the mouth, the bully says, oh shit, he has arms. He has a fist. Oh shit, that's my blood. That's what happened to him. That's not going to happen to this man. Did you see how he was leaking from his forehead against Marcus Brown? And he went in there and he battered Brown into submission.
Who was that guy? What was the name of the guy that Artur Beterbiev fought in Germany a few years ago? He stopped him, but early in that fight he was having some issues, and I can't remember his name. And it was because of the style that the guy was employing. He was physically outmatched. He was causing him some issues. That's why I said this is not the first time I've seen this guy fight. That's why I bring it up. If you remember, one of the first times I came into your chat and I sent you a super chat, It didn't have anything to do with Beterbiev. It had to do with Stanionis, who's a guy I like a lot. And I said, he reminds me more of Lamont Peterson. You said he reminds you of LaMotta. I said, we're going to have this discussion at the end of his career, say, was he more LaMotta or Lamont? And to me, he's more Lamont, and I don't look at that as disrespect. I'm just saying, I don't see that. Like, I cannot really put those guys. Like, I sat there during one of your videos when you were, what was the fight where Benny Perret and my guy, when the last fight of his career when he died. Forgive me for, I'm just getting a brain fart right now. Remember you had that show and we were watching the video?
Man, I've done so many shows, but let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Hold on. Let me ask you this. This is a better question. Since you watch so much of my content, and you could go back to even when you sent the super chat and this and that, let me ask you this one question. You be in the class, how come you ain't learning nothing?
Stormy, this is part of learning. Part of learning is debate and disagreements, and not everyone is always going to be right.
That's not what I'm saying, brother. That's not what I'm saying. Listen, Stanionis is a fighter that I liked. I talked about Stanionis. I've got videos that I've done on Stanionis. But there's a lot of people in the community that think that Stanionis ain't worth a darn. You understand? And he's going to beat some of your favorite fighters. But let's get to that when we get to it. I say these things because I'm looking at it from a different scope. I am not looking at it. One of the things I wish that everybody would really take to heart that I say is that a number of these fighters of today they don't have the commitment, brother, to what they need to do to be the best. They have a commitment to attaining something, a goal that they've set. It's usually tied economically. But if you want to be the best, it requires labor and effort that many do not want to invest in right now. That's just the name of the game. And this is why I talk about the trainers. I talk about the lack of preparation. Joe Smith was not prepared for this man last night, and he fought like it. It's as simple as that. People can get angry. It's like but that's a fact. And until you start accepting what the facts are, you can come up with anything, pulling answers out of your ass left and right as to why something didn't happen or why it should have or whatever, but it didn't. But I don't deal with those hypotheticals, man. I don't.
Well, the reason I referenced the now, thanks to the scrapbook, he jogged my Griffith and Benny Perret, that fight, we were sitting there watching it. And, when I watch those old fights, I don't feel comfortable comparing these modern-day guys to guys in the 60s, 70s, or the 50s and the 60s, 70s, that era, because they're fighting. I mean, that to me looks like a totally different level. Like, if guys from this era were studying that, they'd probably be better fighters. So I don't feel comfortable in going back to that. I see the qualities that you're talking about with this guy. And like I said, we agree on where he's at today. I just don't necessarily, I don't really agree going back and saying he would do this to certain guys. Like, nah, I need to see more, because I've seen some things. Right now, yeah, I agree. There's nobody touching him right now. But I'm not giving him that Ward. I'm not giving that Kovalev, and definitely not the late 90s. And like I said, I wasn't even putting him in there with Roy Jones Jr. That's something totally different. But some of those other guys that I saw fighting during that era, I don't know, because they do different things in the ring. There's certain things that can disrupt this man. They're not doing it right now.
Well, you don't want to put Roy
historical context. Then you're gonna bring my memory back, and I'm gonna start thinking about those older guys, and I'm gonna say, nah, I can see that, because I've seen certain things that can be exploited, but they're not doing it.
Well, you can not put Roy in there if you want to, but like I just told you, another undeniable fact, Roy's knockouts came at 175 when he got stopped. So it's like, listen, what make you think that this guy can't do it to him too? I'm telling you, man, it's okay. We can differentiate in our opinions on that. That's fine. But when you talk about trying to debate something, have history under your belt when you debate. Don't have feelings under your belt, because your feelings can get hurt. And when your feelings get hurt, you can get emotional. And men should not be getting emotional. Okay? Men. Remember that.
I don't have any feelings. I don't have any feelings over that type of discussion, because there's nothing at stake. I mean, that's how I look at it. I mean, it's not something we're ever going to be able to prove, so I can't really feel one way or the other. I'm going back in my memory, and some of the fights.
How far back does your memory go, brother, in boxing?
Some of the fighters that we're discussing, I would say, I mean, as far as like things that I watch live, with my best memories are going to be from the 90s. Starting from there, because
that means that you're limited, brother. That means that you're limited, and that's what I tried to point out. See, that's not a listen. Hold on, Boli. Hold on. I am not trying to insult you here. I'm trying to educate you here.
Okay.
If it goes back to the 90s, you need to study more and go back further, brother. Boxing didn't start in the 90s. No, listen.
I'm talking about live.
But
I've watched older fights. I'm talking about live.
But I'm still telling you the principle upon which this stands. You have to have more. There's a brother out here in the community called Xavier the Boxing Nerd. And shout out to my man Scrapbook Boxing out there in the chat. I see you, Scrapbook. And by the way, Scrapbook says you're absolutely correct, Stormy. That's what he said, Boli. And we are peers. We're the same age, come from the same era, have a lot of the similar knowledge, but Scrapbook is way more versed than I am. So what I'm trying to say here, Xavier the Boxing Nerd got into boxing. He's a very young brother out there. And Xavier started studying up on boxing just a few years ago, recently in the community, right? He goes back and he knows a little bit more about some of the older fights than I do now, because he's studying up on it. Do you understand? That means something, because it gives you some type of leverage to stand upon when you are assessing what you're looking at currently. And currently, there are not enough of the present day fighters who have invested in trying to be the best that they can be, developing themselves in the gym. These guys today, a lot of them don't even want to fight rematches, because they feel if they got beyond someone that they escaped with a win. Oh, I'm glad that was a close one. And for the one that may have lost, they don't know if they're certain if they can improve to go back in a run back and get it back. There's something wrong with that. If you don't want to be the best you can be, why are you doing it? And that's the thing. If you can get a person to tell you why they're doing what they're doing and to be honest with themselves, you will find a lot of these guys should be out of boxing right now. Because it's not about legacy. It's not about being the best that they can be. It's not about trying to be an all-time great or anything like that. They just wanted to have some money in their pocket, to have some gold ropes on their neck, some thoughts, and a nice house, and some kind of man purse on their hip. Seriously.
So just to keep it without running around too much, I just want to clarify. I'm not saying I don't watch older fights, because obviously I'm paying attention to your channel, so I'm looking at, and I've been looking at older stuff. But what I'm saying is, so what you're saying is what? Are you saying that Beterbiev is the best light heavyweight since like Spinks?
He very well may be.
Is that what we're saying? I just want to clarify.
There was another one who was pretty damn good too, in Matthew Saad Muhammad, Spinks. But what I'm trying to tell you is, Beterbiev is pretty damn good. And I personally, I'm just going to say it this way. I think that people look at his skin color and they just don't want to give him the respect. Just like people have looked at Devin Haney and see that he has something that they want to hold back. They don't want to let him be what he has already become. He's undisputed now. Ain't no holding that back anymore. But they were trying to keep him at the door for whatever reason. They did not want him to be at the dance. And now he arrived at the dance. He turned the place out. He turned it into his birthday party. And everybody is mad now, the people who were trying to hold him at the door. This man, Beterbiev, he fights, he conquers, and he goes back into obscurity until it's time to fight again. That's what I want from my fighters. I don't care about their personal lives and this and that and want to know everything about them like that. I want to know about them in the ring. And that's what I study about them in the ring. And that's why I say a guy like Kovalev couldn't even compete with him either. A flawed character individual can only go so far. A strong character individual who has the same type of ability, if not better, and in this case, this man has better, will far exceed, unless there's someone politically, again, trying to keep him at the door.
The problem is, here's where the hole in the argument comes. The modern era is when you're placing him in history, the modern era is gonna hold him back. Because you're going to say, well, look at the guys he fought, or look at the era that he fought in. Because you're measuring him against today. And when you go back, when guys were more dedicated, when you had better training, and you had guys that were more focused on the sport and could do more things. I mean, if you put Joe Smith back in the 90s, I mean, are we even talking about this guy?
If you put Joe Smith back in the 90s, if you put Joe Smith back in the 90s, he would have been just another tough dude that get pounded on by one of those other champions.
Right. That's my point. So when you're discussing Artur Beterbiev, you also have, and you discuss him in a historical context in relation to other eras. You have to consider the opponents that he's facing. And they don't match. This era doesn't match up. It doesn't look good at light heavyweight right now.
That's not Beterbiev's. That's not his problem. That's not his fault. But that's why you heard me put him back as far as with Archie Moore and those guys. Do you understand? So you're not even looking at it from the proper standpoint. You know what, Bully? I recognize something about what you like to do. You like to argue and debate for the sake of arguing and debating. And I'll tell you this, brother. That is not something that stimulates the intellect of myself. It does not. Because again, you want to make it according to what you want to make it. I've already given a layout of what should be considered. And that is when fighters were better. So I put him back there with Moore and those guys. You can even go back there to the times of the guys in the 60s. But it's like, those were better fighters. So I equate him with that. I didn't think about Michael Spinks, but you had Spinks during his time, and then you also had Matthew Saad Muhammad, who was just before Spinks. Good fighters. He would be great amongst those as well, because that level of competitiveness, what the guys brought to the ring, is significant. It's sorely lost on today's fighters, and that's not his fault. But it is our responsibility, when I say our, content creators like myself, people that got channel and a voice, to say the things that need to be said for the acknowledgement of the sport, not the individual. So those men that those names gone by, they should be mentioned because they did create legacy. They did create history. And he could be up there with them by the time it's over with, because he's doing it presently. And it's not his fault that the other guys aren't shooting for the stars. They're shooting for the bank.
Well, he's 30. Right now he's 37, so I'll just say this, and I'll let somebody else come in here. He's 37. I hope he has another 10 fights in him, so we can see more. He's a great fighter. We're a great fighter. We're agreeing with each other on everything except the historical context. At 18-0, 18 knockouts, which is a stellar record. And what he's shown so far, there's no denying the man. Well, let's see another 10 fights, and let's see how that runs, and then we'll see where this ends up. But I'm not going to sit here and call this man like the best the best light heavy in the last 40 years or 35 years. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. But I can recognize his greatness for what it is. Absolutely.
And
Nobody
even
wants. I don't hear Benavidez all excited, ready to go up to. He's the one who likes to call people out. I guess in that region, in those weight classes, I haven't heard him not once say that man's name. So, and that seems to be who everyone is anointing. I'm not. I'm just saying. So we'll just wait and see. This is what we like about the sport, what we love about the sport, and what I like to discuss. So I appreciate it. I'm almost to the coffee shop.
okay, all right.
All right. I'll fall back into the chat and listen to the next call.
Okay, bro. Appreciate your call, man. Have a good day.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
All right. Peace. Boli likes to debate. I'm going to have to have a debate show and bring him on and let him moderate. That's a debating dude right there, man. Okay, we got 267 in the building. Who's calling? What's on your mind?
This is Curtis Price. What's up, Stormy? This is Curtis Price.
Hey, what's good, Curtis? How you doing, bro?
Good, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have to disagree with you, brother, about off the Beterbiev. Man, come on, man, Stormy.
What's that?
About him, go, throwback fighter. I mean, he's a good pressure fighter, though, man. But as far as skills and stuff like that, he just hadn't. Because I was kind of mad at Joe Smith because Joe Smith. He started off good, with a jab. All he had to do was jab, clinch. You understand? But somehow when he got hit by that overhand right, by Arthur, he just started slugging.
Yeah. That's because Beterbiev knocked the sense out of his ass.
Yeah, that's true, Tommy. I mean, like I said, because like I said, Joe Smith, there was a fight that I seen Joe Smith fight Eddie, and it seemed like that he was not even in the fight, man. So he's skeptical anyway. you know that. So now, you've been around the fight game for a long time. I'm 61 years old, right? And I've seen a lot of fights in my days and stuff like that. Now, I didn't mean to call Joe Smith, dumb just on my comment, right? I didn't mean to call him, a dumb fighter. But he just can't, Stormy, as a young man, younger than me, that you cannot go in there and slug out with a slugger. You know what happens. Who wins?
Well, I know what happens, but apparently Joe Smith and his trainer didn't know. So I can't speak for other people.
And so I ain't gonna talk to you because I know you the story, but you know darn gone well that he cannot beat none of the fighters back in the day, far as in the '90s with Michael Spinks and stuff like that. You know that, man.
No, I say that he's like on par with guys like Spinks and Matthew Saad Muhammad for what he's shown me. That doesn't mean he beats those guys. Hold on, Curtis. Hold on, Curtis. That doesn't mean he beats those guys. It just means he's on par with them.
Oh, okay.
Because, again, with as minimal fights as he's fought and the successes that he's had and the results that he gets that type of consideration. And maybe it would require those guys to be the ones to beat him. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean he's better than them or anything like that.
Yeah, okay. Now we're talking about now because somebody else has said this right here because it took a long. Because even though Joe Smith, he's from the States here, but what about him and Bivol? Now you said something about Bivol yesterday that he could beat Bivol. I don't know, man.
Well, that's the fight we need to see because Bivol is, he's the other titleist, but to me. There's a difference between titleists and champions. And I think that Beterbiev is the champion. I think that Bivol is the Titleist.
What
I
about
would love
skill?
to see
What
them
about
fight
skill?
each other and
What
for
about skill?
Undisputed.
Yeah, what else? I mean, I would love to see that fight between Arthur and Bivol, but I believe, Bivol, that he would give Arthur a better, more fight because he's more versatile. You understand? I believe he would stick with the jab, and then clinch him because he knows that Arthur has a one-punch knockout. Do you agree with that?
No, I do not. I believe that Artur Beterbiev has something in his ability and skill set that will cause Bivol problem, and that's his footwork. The way he is mindful of being able to cut the ring down, because Bivol needs range. He needs space to operate, and Beterbiev cuts that off on you.
That's on top. If Bivol was to stick that cheek, nice stick hard, boom, boom, up and down, and then every time Arthur come in, all he got to do is clinch him, and then Arthur got to start all over again. If he can last for 12 years, I like Bivol.
That's a big if, Curtis. That's a big if.
Yeah, yes, I know what you mean, brother. I know what you mean because we have to get them in the ring first. But I'm looking at far as like skills and stuff like that because a lot of great fighters like that, what's that guy that fought Sugar Ray Roberts? What was his name? The one he fought 6 times.
LaMotta.
Yeah, LaMotta. Now, even though Sugar beat him 5 times, right?
Yeah.
And what kind of fighter was LaMotta? He was a pressure fighter, right? That come forward.
Yeah, but are you trying to say that Beterbiev is just a pressure fighter that comes forward?
He got a little bit of skill, but what I'm saying though, when he comes in with a boxer that can tie him up and can come in with angles, Joe Smith came straight ahead. You see that he was leaning,
and Beterbiev boxed him. Curtis. He boxed him. That's why he beat him. He didn't clash into him like 2 Rams. He stepped around. He gave movement and angles and threw punches over Joe Smith's shots, which is ring IQ and boxing ability.
But he caught him with the uppercut.
That was after he started bending down low. He first caught him over his left hand with a right hand to the side of his head.
That was the first one. When Joe Smith had threw that jab, that's when Arthur came over the jab with the right hand.
That's what he's supposed to do. You taught that in the gym. This is what I'm talking about. It's boxing technique, Curtis. What are you talking about?
I hear you, brother. I hear
no, you don't. You don't hear me. But you can listen up and hear when I'm saying that the man is boxing. He didn't just go to war, but he was effective in his boxing to the point that it looked like it was give and take, but it wasn't. When he was dancing around a guy and giving him ring movement, he was setting him up.
When Joe Smith got hit with that overhand right, when he threw that jab, that lazy behind jab, and that's when Arthur came over it, and then after that, Joe Smith's whole game plan went out the window. Because if you look at it real good, he started off good. He was jabbing, but then he got hit with that overhand right, and then all of a sudden the game plan was right out the window.
How did he start off good when that shit happened right off the bat, Curtis?
With the jab. He was hitting with the jab.
Beterbiev hit him with jabs too.
With the jab.
Beterbiev hit him with jabs too.
And kept his distance. It kept his distance with the jabs, and every time Arthur come in, all Joe Smith had to grab him, and then Arthur Beterbiev would have to be set all over again. But what happened when he got hit with that overhand right there, with that lazy behind jab, with Joe Smith threw, that's what his game plan was, right out the window. And I was so mad. I was shocked at the TV, man. I was so mad. Yeah, but his jab was not keeping him off though. Joe Smith's jab was keeping him off at first.
Man, I don't know what the hell you were looking at, but
I was looking the same thing you looking at, man.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Don't even try to put yourself in the seat with me, brother, because that's not what I saw. Not at all. And you know what? That's okay, because as long as fellas like yourself, you want to look at that and you looking at everything that Joe Smith did do wrong. I could say what Joe Smith did wrong was sign the damn contract.
That's true.
Now, how much of an argument is that? It's the same argument that you're making, because it was up to him to protect himself at all times. Did Beterbiev not protect himself?
Now, everything you said, even though he signed the contract, I knew that Joe Smith had a plan. I knew he had a plan. But like I said, when you get hit, like what Mike Tyson said, when you get hit, that game plan goes out the window. And he's more like a slugger anyway. You know, Joe Smith. Once he get hit, he's ready to go toe-to-toe. Well, he could have fought that fight easy. Because I don't see, even though Arthur got a, overhand right and a good uppercut like that, but for real, he's a flat-footed, flat-footed, come straight ahead, a pressure fighter. How many times we see pressure fighters, they don't last long in that game. He just ain't fought nobody that can box circles around with a jab, and every time he come in, just tie him up. That's all you have to do. You saw me?
I'm here, bro.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. Like I said, man, it's always a blessing to talk to you. You understand? I watch the show, and I'm going to continue to watch your show, brother, because you have great, views on boxing and stuff. You do have a good insight. But I disagree with you, man. I was down with the American man, but he didn't fight his fight. So, as you said, he signed the contract, and that's what happens.
Listen,
right?
And I appreciate you watching the show and supporting. I see you out there all the time, and I got respect for you. Man. But I'm gonna tell you this, though. I'm gonna tell you this. Listen, when somebody does something like what Artur Beterbiev is doing in his career right now, a lot of times they don't get the respect when it's happening. And salute to Fight Film out there who just subscribed to the channel. Thank you for your subscription. But no, listen, this is the thing. When a person is going, even when Roy was doing what he was doing, he was showing his greatness. There were people that were still saying, yeah, but he ain't fought this kind of fighter. He ain't been hit on the chin. He ain't this, that, this. And Roy was being great all the while. Okay? Now that it's all over for him, people want to say how great he is and this and that and whatever. But it's the same for all the fighters, brother. It's like when they're doing something great, most people, because you're always looking for the other shoe to drop. You're always looking to see where imperfection is. But you're not embracing what's being done very well. Only if it's a person's favorite fighter do they do that. And see, again, I don't have a favorite fighter of today. So when I give my assessment on these guys, I'm giving an honest, wholehearted assessment, but it's not. I'm not invested in that.
Okay. Yeah, another thing before we hang, because I know other cars will call in. Now you said that Artur Beterbiev would be Andre Ward. Now let's go back to the Super Six for me. Remember, what's that other Arthur? I can't think of his name. No, Abraham. Now, do Abraham kind of mind you of Artur Beterbiev? He's hard. He's a person.
No.
I believe Arthur Abraham had more dimensions.
No.
Than
no.
Than what's his name?
No.
Beterbiev.
No. Absolutely not.
Now explain that one to me. Now, because even though he's strong, now Arthur Abraham, he's strong. And what did I don't know if you remember, but what did Andre do when he was strong? When you're a strong person like that, you really can't stand on the outside. You got to be in close.
You're getting close to Arthur Abraham. You're getting close to Artur Beterbiev, and you're going to get hurt even worse.
Yeah, that's true. But he needs a certain amount of ornament to really throw his power punches.
Andre Ward.
I'm not saying, but he's a dirty fighter. And
Andre Ward didn't have the type of punching power that would make Artur Beterbiev be mindful and respectful to that degree. That's where it would come. That's where it would come apart. Andre could box. He could make adjustments, but he had bad wheels. He had knee problems and everything. And when you're fighting a guy like Beterbiev, if you're not a well-oiled machine, you're going to have problems. Even if you are a well-oiled machine, you're going to have problems because you still got to get through 12 with this man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And that's
true.
the difference. You see, I'm looking at it for like, wow. You know what I mean? It's not, and he can box too. He can box. It's like people just see him as this plotting Frankenstein monster. That's not who he is. That's the perception. You could believe that Joe Smith did not think that that man was going to be dancing on his toes, popping him from angles. He didn't think that because he was trying to wade in with him, and Beterbiev is moving around him, and it's like, hey, where the hell that come from? We didn't see that on tape. You understand?
Now, you said the same thing. I don't mean to cut you off, my young girl, but listen, you said something right there. Now, when Arthur was on his toes and everything, what was keeping him off him? It was the jab, right? It was the jab.
But Artur was shooting a stiff, hard jab as well.
Yeah, but it was because it was really not hurting Joe Smith until he.
How do you know it wasn't hurting him? Did Joe Smith call you up and say, "Hey, Curtis, when he was popping at me with that jab in my mouth, it wasn't hurting me"?
Yeah, no, I'm trying to tell you when Joe threw that slow jab and instead of snapping out, going up and down, snapping out. When Arthur came in with that overhand right, hit him. That's what I say it again. That's when the whole game plan went right out the window.
Absolutely, because Artur did what Artur was supposed to do.
Yeah, he did what he was supposed to do. He won the fight.
No, he did what he was supposed to do. He took advantages. He took advantages of Smith's weaknesses. When Smith was working off of the jab and left hook that was his money, he took that away from him. This is what see, you don't see enough of this in technical boxing. You don't see enough of it today. When a man throws a lazy jab and you make him pay for that, then that jab don't come no more. And then when he's trying to hook with that hook that's his money punch, and you throw on the perfect counter for that, he don't throw that no more. This is what he did. He took the fight away from him. The next thing you know, just like this photo that I have on the screen right now, where he's coming over the top of Joe's left, he's hitting him with that right on the temple, and then when Joe's face is facing the canvas, he's punching with uppercuts. That's the next punch to bring the punch underneath.
You got up right now. I'm looking at it on my TV. Where's Joe at? He's leaning forward. Every time he would throw that jab, and when Artur Beterbiev would come over with that right hand, where was Joe? Right there in the sight of the right hand. He should know when he did it right here. He shouldn't have had it slipping from side to side.
And whose fault is that, Curtis? Whose fault is that, Curtis?
That's Joe Smith. That's why I was mad. I was saying that, I ain't.
Who was mad? Who was mad? Who was mad?
I was mad.
Okay, why were you mad?
No, I was mad because Joe Smith did not fight his fight. Like I said, if you look at it real good, look at the first round, he was throwing a jab, and then the jab got lazy.
Okay, I got one last question to ask you before I let you go. We got new people in the chat I want to acknowledge and everything, but I want to ask you this one quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Going into the fight, were you rolling with Joe?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were disappointed.
But not to say because I'm the kind of person. Hey, I'm gonna go for the man, but if the best man wins, hey, Artur Beterbiev is the better man. You understand? I don't really have no favorite step for Joe Frazier and beat out and all them and stuff like that. But far as something they lose, if they from Philadelphia and they lose like that, hey, I gotta give the other man respect. I give Artur Beterbiev respect because he did what he had to do. He went through with his game plan. He knocked Joe Smith out. Plain and simple. I can't complain about that. So, okay, Storm, let us say, it was a pleasure talking to you. I will be calling again, brother.
Okay, brother, I appreciate your call, man. Take care now.
Okay, God bless, okay?
All right, God bless. Peace. All right. Great call from Curtis Price, my man out there. Amen 1000, he says, all the time in the chat. We got in the building, Rob Sportsman Lee, Candy Slim out there says Beterbiev and Tank box the same way against powerful but inferior competition. Beterbiev just saw his opening sooner and took advantage of it. It's levels to the game. Say it again, brother. Say it again. And I got to read these other comments here. We got 518 in the building, man. And you guys know who this is calling up in here, man. Coming in here like, nobody know who he is. 518 in the building. What's good?
Yeah, how's it going, Stormy?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What's good, K-Rod? Hey, let me get to these people real quick, and then we can open up the discussion there. Jason out there, Tone 40 fell into the building saying, salute Stormy B, man. Jason is out there. He says, I can see now Beterbiev won't get his respect until he's undisputed, and even when he's undisputed, he still won't get it. There you go. Dr. Professor out there saying he was not listening, talking about Curtis. Yep, he wasn't listening. And Antonio says this man is clearly a patriot. Yeah, there you go. Candy Slim, I read that one. Jab Jamboree, Act Reachers out there saying, as Stormy B, man, all love and respect. Happy Father's Day to you and everybody that's dads. Hey, Ack, I appreciate that, man. I opened the show up with my apology for you about last night, man. Just want to let you know, that's what I did, man. Dr. Professor says the fight was only 2 rounds. It was over before it started. J.A. Dixon out there saying, salute OG Stormy. And why are people going so hard to try to discredit Beterbiev? Do people really watch boxing? Hey, J.A. Dixon, if I could pin that comment to the screen in the chat like I do on StreamYard, I would do so. That's exactly what's happening here, bruh. That's exactly what's happening. People want what they want, and even when they can't get it, they can't say, like I asked Curtis, are you disappointed? He said, yeah, but okay, you're disappointed. That's your argument. I'm disappointed, but it ain't Beterbiev's fault that you disappointed, huh? There you go. Now, what's good with you, K-Rod? What's happening, bro?
Not much. I'm just a bit heartbroken from last night, but honestly, like, I'm having a good day, kicking it off, right? Yeah.
Listen, man. Why? Okay, can I ask you? I tell you, you may have had Joe Smith going into this. I surmise, right?
Oh no.
Oh no!
I had Beterbiev stopping his ass.
Oh, okay. So you must have been disappointed with the Nova fight then with Robisi.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, but we can get to that. But I wanted to say this about the Joe Smith and Beterbiev fight. There were a number of people that were just rolling against Beterbiev simply because whatever their personal thoughts and reasons were. But Joe Smith, if you look at the man, is not that good. He is not that good. That's not to mean that he didn't win a title. That's not to mean that he hasn't been in good fights. But the man he lost to last night is the real champion of the division. Just like when Rolly lost to Tank, he lost to the real champion in the ring. He didn't lose to a bum. He didn't lose to a guy that upset him. He just lost to Tank, which people really expected that anyway, right? But why did people celebrate Rolly losing outside of because he got a big mouth and he can talk? I love to talk in boxing, and he tried to back it up, but he couldn't do it against Tank. So what's the problem here? There are so many people that don't want to give credit where it's supposed to go. Artur Beterbiev is a damn good fighter. He really is. And people need to learn how to appreciate that stuff. Just like you want to roll with someone like Steve Fulton or someone like Devin Haney or whatever, this man gives you what you want to see in boxing. He brutalizes people in there, and he does it with technical proficiency. And he's a courageous guy. He has a true spirit, and there are people that don't want to show respect for that. And I think skin color has something to do with that. I just have to be honest with that. But K-Rod, let's get to something that you would like to talk about here. And we've been on this Beterbiev train for a little bit, so I don't mind. Let me know what your thoughts were going in about the fight between Abraham Nova and Robisi Ramirez.
Yeah, at first I thought this fight wasn't going to be as technically difficult. I thought Abraham was pretty good dealing with tricky southpaws, but I think honestly, it was just due to like a failure of just taking his time and just like basically utilizing his pure boxing like ability more, rather than trying to bang it out with Robesi. But I think honestly the reason why he lost was just simply due to him not being defensively responsible and more offensively aggressive with his jab, and just keep and let the pace to the outside, because he was doing very, very well, and Robesi was struggling a lot with that. So I think honestly he just got caught with something that he didn't see, which I thought it was like a flash knockout rather than just him not getting actually hurt from the actual punch. So I think honestly that was just like a poor defensive mechanism on his part. But either way, I thought he did pretty good. Like I had it all tied up, leading into the 5th round, and I thought Abraham he could have done way better by just pressing Ramirez to his body, because he was getting hurt with those body shots. But Abraham, he wasn't letting his hands go enough. Where Robesi, he was feeling more confident trying to fight inside of the pocket, which I know he's not really known for that. He's really known to actually just pump out his jab and then try to land some big lucky shot. But Abraham had the style to beat him, but I think he just didn't utilize it properly against Robesi.
Yeah, I felt like it looked to me that Ramirez had more pop on his punches than Nova expected. And then he did not know how to respond to that, which is kind of peculiar, because I didn't see devastating power on Ramirez, but that was a devastating knockout. When he knocked him out, his head hit the canvas when he fell in that corner. So it's like a double whammy. He wasn't even able to move from under the ropes or whatever. They had to get him up. I think that Robesi is very reckless, and that a good fighter can capitalize on that. But I don't really know what his game plan was, because he won the first 2 rounds, I felt. Then the second 2 rounds went to Robesi, but in those second and the third and fourth rounds that went to Robesi landed some shots on him that looked like they hurt him, and it was like the fight changed kind of quickly like that. I don't know what he was doing in there. I just don't know what he was doing, and I still have questions. Now, he was on Cano Loco before the fight last week, and I would like to see and hear him give an assessment of what happened in there.
Yeah. I think also he shouldn't even be fighting at 126. He should be fighting at 130. He's way stronger, and he's more physically agile at that weight. But I just don't understand the move to 126, because yeah, granted, you fought there in the past, but I would just focus on my health rather than trying to put myself in a dangerous situation where you don't have enough physical fluids to carry yourself into the late game portion of those heavier loaded rounds. So maybe possibly that could be a weight issue. Maybe he just doesn't feel fully hydrated at 126, because he's a natural 135 pounder and above. And if anything, correct me if I'm wrong, he looks like a welterweight, heading into his fights, when he's fully rehydrated.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, to me, it just seemed like there was some things happening there that I don't know. And I don't know if weight was the only thing. It could be a major part, but I don't think it was the only thing. You need to have a game plan. And it didn't really look like Nova had a game plan. If he was thinking that I'm just going to hit this guy with something or whatever, he didn't work the body. He threw some shots here and there, but it was like he was in there without a plan. But I know that Robeisy came after him and put him on the back foot immediately and was pressing the action, you know? And that's something that, again, if you're going to fight off the back foot, there are certain things that you're supposed to do. And he wasn't doing any of that. You there, K-Rod?
Oh, no. Like, I was just waiting for you to finish. But, yeah, I agree. I thought Abraham was going to lure him into something to hit him, like, flush and clean, because that's what I would do if I'm facing, like, another southpaw, like, on myself, because I'm a southpaw. But just by looking at, like, the fight, you know, picture it, like, you know, up inside, like, my head, I would be, like, saying, like, you know, like, in my mind in the fight, all right, when he comes in, I'm going to duck under, and then I'm going to either pull hook counter or just basically kill him to the body, because he was wide open to the body. Ramirez, like, looked like he was actually gassing out a little bit early. And I thought Abraham had the power, like, advantage to the body shots to actually hurt him. But I think, like, overall, it was just, like, a lack of, like, ring IQ and not sticking with, like, an actual game plan. And I think that's just the biggest flaw out of, like, the failure. And I think he could easily correct that, and hopefully he can make those proper, like, adjustments, and he could see himself become, like, a more better, like, high level fighter.
Yeah. Who would you like to see Ramirez face next now that he's gotten beyond this fight?
I wouldn't mind to see a fight between the winner between Isaac Dogbe and Joet Gonzalez, because from what I was thinking, I actually thought, you know, after Isaac quote unquote beat Christopher Diaz, he would either have to face Abraham Nova, which to me, like, that would make a lot better sense to make that a title eliminator through the WBO. But surprisingly, he's fighting Joet Gonzalez, so I think Ramirez should go after the winner between those two, and then the winner of those fights being done should face Navarrete.
Yeah. Salute to Off Strength out there in the chat. He says Ramirez's left is very quick. Nova couldn't see it coming. Well, he did a great thing with the punch before that, which was a sweeping right hook off the southpaw position that kind of like blinded him. You know, that's kind of, it reminds me of the sweeping left hook that Deontay threw at Luis King Kong Ortiz in their second fight, with the right hand that followed right behind it on the forehead. It was a similar thing, just from different positions because of orthodox and southpaw. He threw that left, which was not really thrown to land. It crossed the eye line, and then the left came right behind it. Boom, right on the chin. And it wasn't even the hardest punch that he threw in the fight, but it was so accurate and precise and blinding that the result was inevitable. It was a KO punch. And I remember watching it live, and I was just impressed with how it happened. You know, this is what I talk about all the time about fighters putting punches together. Combinations are important in boxing, and you don't see enough of that. You see guys trying to pot shot, and you see guys trying to land a heavy shot because they load up. But that 1-2, man, it's like, if you go back to when James Toney knocked out Prince Charles Williams, it was a 1-2 where Toney was stepping around with the jab, And he just threw the 1-2, boom, and then threw the right behind it, right on the temple of Prince Charles. And Prince Charles' body did a dive over, like he got hit with that shot, and he bent over like this and then fell. It was like a straight KO type punch. And it wasn't even the hardest punch that Tony threw in the fight. It was just so off of the rhythm of a combo. It's great. That's anytime that happens, it's a wonderful thing when you see it, you know, when guys put punches together.
I was gonna ask, what do you think that Abraham Nova should do?
Well, people are talking about he's weight drained at 126. So he may want to get on up, you know, to a higher weight. But he needs to get better about his executions, because that's, I don't like when guys get knocked out like he got knocked out. There could be some technical problems there. I don't know. It might be some neurological problems after being knocked out like that. So we need to see and assess where he's going to be 6 to 8 months from now. But definitely take a fight against lower opposition, even in moving up. Don't go back in there with another one of those world beaters, because same thing can happen, you know? So, yeah. Salute to Tone 40 out there. He says, Stormy B-Man, what's your thought on ESPN, Ring Magazine, pound for pound champ Tyson Fury being banned from the United States? I think it's a beautiful thing. I think that Tyson Fury being banned from the United States is a beautiful thing. It probably should have come 4 years ago, but better late than never. And that maybe everyone that is associated, affiliated, tied in, attached, working for, and whatever else, they should be banned too. People who have helped him get where he is illegally, they should be cut free as well. You hear me, Sugar Hill? Yeah. So, to hell with Tyson Fury. To hell with Tyson Fury. Your thoughts on that, K-Rod? Tyson Fury.
Yeah, man, I'm happy. Fuck him, man. He's a piece of shit. Honestly, he needs to be, I think honestly he needs to be hunted down, you know, by the state. And he doesn't deserve any more political protection. So I'm happy.
Yeah, and I don't mind taking the show in that direction to talk about him, since that was a big news report that came in. The fact that this idiot is being banned from the States. Apparently he bought a home here and everything, right? He tried to make the States his new home, huh? Didn't he say that? Well, you can't be too old for your wants to hurt you sometimes, and this is what happens. Drew Titan, shout out to Drew, once said that this whole story, it ain't over. And he was right. We're seeing some things now that call for, you know, maybe the scales of justice are balancing out. But it couldn't happen to a worse guy. And like I said, it might be about 4 years too late. But this dude is a criminal, Tyson Fury. And what he has done in his career is criminal. And he's been allowed to be unleashed on the public as well as the sport of boxing in the sake of privilege. But this is what you get when you swim in the muddy waters, the sewage waters, with filth. To hell with him. The only thing that can be better is to give him some of those steel bracelets that they slip on your wrist before they put you in the back of that squad car. Huh? Yeah. You got anything on that, K-Rod?
Yeah, like I really hope he also gets prosecuted for, you know, the Deontay Wilder cheating, cheating crimes as well. And you know, like I hope he never gets to how should I say, he should be jailed for like the rest of his life. Because I say at this point, like, you know, like your tracks are definitely being more exposed, and he doesn't deserve any more freedom after what he's been doing.
Yeah. And like I said, Sugar Hill, you know, you're such a disappointment, man. Emmanuel Stewart definitely wouldn't be proud. Mark Breland, same thing. I look at this situation and I just shake my head because when people were questioning what we were saying, Drew Titan and I did a live stream. We talked about this stuff really strong a couple years back. And people were questioning where we were coming from. And we talked about conspiracy, and we talked about it in the sense of not how people just throw the word around now for the convenience of being dismissive of something, a particular subject or action or activity. But conspiracy in the sense of a coming together of a group of subjects for one agenda. And that's what took place when Deontay Wilder was the WBC heavyweight champion. This will all come out. You have no idea the people behind the scenes that operated to allow what ended up becoming what's now history and the track that it took. And there's something in there about Anthony Joshua as well, being a part of, if not a victim as well, in these circumstances. And you all would probably not expect someone to say that because Anthony Joshua is from the UK. But Anthony Joshua was an undefeated young heavyweight champion. And so was Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury was an undefeated former unified champion, a druggie, a cheat, and someone who was off the rails. But somehow he was manipulated to get back into the situation and end up being the one lone man who's undefeated, while the other two who were the future of the division had their paths crossed, Joshua and Wilder. They were put to the side. This man was live on ESPN, high as a kite, in their studios, in the backdrop of the arena, walking around talking a lot of crap and everything, and they didn't say anything. They had him live on their air as if it were entertainment. It was disgusting. But that's how far privilege can go and money can go when you have investors backing you, no matter how criminal. $1,000. So yeah, if you don't have any more on that, K-Rod, I'll get ready to, wrap things up here.
Yeah, like I was just gonna, finalize on the Beterbiev situation. I do believe Artur Beterbiev, he definitely deserves to be considered like one of the best light heavyweights out there. I do believe he can potentially lose to Dimitri Bivol if they do fight next for undisputed. But either way, Artur Beterbiev, he's definitely a all-time light heavyweight great. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him again. I'm gonna have John Scully on very soon as well, because we'll be talking about this victory and what's on the horizon for him next.
Yeah.
So,
yep,
you guys can be looking forward to that. I messaged John this morning, and he told me just set up a date and time. So we'll have something coming very soon, very shortly for you guys on that. But yeah, we're gonna get ready to wrap this up there, K-Rod. I appreciate your call, man, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yep, I appreciate it, and shout out to Abraham Supernova, long live Albany, New York, and shout out to the mighty LDBC.
Yes, sir. All right.
Yep.
Okay, peace to you, bro. Peace.
Yep.
I can't help myself with that, man. I have to play K-Rod's theme song, man. That's what it's all about, though. That's what it's all about. Hey, you have to admit, man, it's fun, right? It's fun, right? To get you guys to laugh a little bit, man. It's like, that's what that's all about. That's what it's all about, man. Can't have some fun, you might as well not be doing it, you know what I mean? So come in there. But yeah, there's something else that I had wanted to talk about before I go off the air, man. And this is pretty much, it has a lot to do with, you, the supporters and subscribers to the channel, man. We have seen a lot of growth in the past year. Leaps and bounds. And one of the things I wanted to acknowledge was I want you guys to take a look at the screen. If you got the show up on your device, or if you got it on a TV or whatever, I want you guys to take a look at this here on the screen. My channel, as of the 16th, has gone over 500,000 views. And I just want to say, salute to everybody out there that has made this feat possible. think it's been like a little over 3 years that I started my channel, and to have 500,000 views on my shows, my content and things like that, it's like, it's very heartwarming that, cause that's not easy. There's some people who may have, accomplished this in a shorter amount of time, but my thing has always been a slow burn, and I haven't, I don't produce content every single day. Like there are some brothers who have shows every single day. It might seem like that I produce shows every single day, and sometimes for me it seems that way, but somewhere along the line I'm always trying to plug gaps in and put streams in, and I don't do as many videos as I used to, but I'm going to try to get back to doing the videos as well, but it won't increase as much, but it's just a part of providing content. And I don't like to do what everybody else does. I don't like to talk about what everybody else is talking about all the time, because it becomes repetitious, but this is a feat that just in the past few months I've seen it. I mean, I was at 450 just like 2 months ago, and now it's like 500. So it's moving right along, man. It's moving right along, and I actually expect it to hit 1 million very soon, because there are people like last night's post-fight show. We had over 1,000 something people in that show. They're not all family, but they tune in, and when people tune in like that, they say, well, I want to hear what this guy has to say. It's one of the reasons why I hold fast to my being very consistent with how I present my conversation talking about the sport of boxing. I try to do it respectfully. Sometimes it might hurt certain people's feelings, but that happens, especially when you're being earnest and honest. So, with those things in mind, just know that that's what's represented here. No foolishness, no, stripping people down to, be disrespectful of them or anything, but it's all in respect for the sport. And as long as I can continue to produce quality content that you will be willing to support, I look to make changes, add new wrinkles to be better. We've had a couple of new shows in this past year. This year alone, the Nerds on Culture and the Beats with Sugar, those shows, have been successful in their inception. So it's like, I appreciate you guys. I really do. And so as long as you continue to support me like that, I'll continue to do the job that I do and have a love for doing it. So I just wanted to say that and acknowledge you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So just know, that's how we gonna do it around here. And when I get those updates, I share them so you guys can see what the progress is. I don't always, post numbers and everything, but when it is, it's usually a milestone or something like that. Eric R says, wow, congratulations, Stormy. And Macadus Mac says, congrats, big bro, keep going. Signature Sounds out there saying, salute OG Stormy B, salute to you. Eric O is saying, congrats, Sensei. Tone 40 saying, congratulations, Stormy B, man. Boli saying, that's big. Yeah, it is, to all of that, and much respect to you guys, But I like to have fun, man, and everything. Every once in a while we get a troll and this and that, but let me tell you, man, I just enjoy this sport, and I never thought that we'll get to a point in life where we can come to a place like YouTube and be watching and talking boxing 24/7, 365. It's like, man, we have so much boxing content out here and people you can follow, love, and tune into. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, you know. Joe says, love your show, Stormy. I appreciate you, Joe. Tone 40 says, boxing need channels like yours too. Put out real information, not fake BS. Well, you know, there's nothing fake about this one over here, man. Not at all. Mr. Pac-Man says, the most underrated in the game, Stormy B Man. Yeah, well, if y'all share, then I won't be underrated or unknown. So share the content, share the, you know, put it on social media. If you got Twitter, put it on Twitter. If you got whatever, Instagram, all that stuff. I don't have all those social medias because I don't have the time to be on all that stuff, man. I'm barely working and doing what I'm doing now. About to die, heart attack or something. Salute to Drew Titan LLC out there in that super chat, man. I appreciate you. That's my brother. I'll be on with him later this evening if he's doing the show. I forgot to ask him, is he doing a show today on Father's Day? But salute to Drew Titan out there. He says hashtag growth. Yeah, man. That's right. When you're growing, you ain't got time to stay in one spot, huh? And leave a puddle, huh? When you grow, you move on up. Like Curtis Mayfield used to say, moving on up. So, yeah. So, but man, it's been a great show. I enjoyed everybody's comments out there, even though I wasn't able to read them all. I appreciate everybody that fell into the chat. You guys were keeping the conversations going strong. Great calls today. Bowley, Curtis, K-Rod. You know what I'm saying? You guys calling in made for great conversations, man. And I appreciate that as well. So we spend a lot of time doing what we love here on the channel, and that's provide you guys with quality content and these shows. But it's not easy, you know. It's not always easy. We do what we can, the way we can, but sometimes it's debilitating. Sometimes it take a little bit out of you. You know what I mean? So like last Saturday, I didn't feel like I was going to do a show this Sunday. And I forgot that this Sunday was going to be Father's Day as well, meaning upon reflection from last week. But when I got up this morning, I felt compelled to do the show. So that's why I'm here. And we had great fights last night to discuss. So that's what it's all about, man. Sometimes you step up and do what you want, do what you got to do, even when you don't feel like doing it. You know, and I appreciate the fact that Ack Reacher showed up and I was able to issue that apology, you know, to him, because I am never trying to, you know, be like what came across last night. And, you know, I have to say that, because he is a young brother out here that I respect as well. And salute to our fella, too, who reached out to me. And I appreciate that, and to be able to have a conversation. You know, I've often talked about leading by example, and that's one of the examples of that. So just know, you know, we all make mistakes, but accountability allows us to have atonement for mistakes. So such as it is. But we're going to get on out of here. Peace to everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Father's Day. Enjoy your week coming up. Juneteenth celebrations. And shout out to the mighty LDBC. And we up.